We settled in the land of Goshen, which is known as Avaris. Now let me find this printout. Let me read to you about Avaris real quick. This is the land of Avaris. The land of Avaris was right here on the map of Egypt, if you can see it. Well, it's probably going to be flipped in reverse. But you know that little piece in the middle is Israel, and then you got Egypt over here. We was up in this area right here. Alright. Now I'm going to read you about Avaris, which is Goshen, the land of Rameses. Avaris, capital of Egypt under the Hyksos, the 15th dynasty, was located near modern Tel Adaba in the northeastern region of the Nile Delta. Says this. It goes on to say this here. Artifacts excavated at the temple erected in the Hyksos period have produced goods from all over the Aegean world. The temple even has Minoan-like wall paintings that have similar of those found in Crete at the palace of Knossos. A large mud brick tomb had also been excavated to the west of the temple, where grave goods and such as copper swords have been found. Towards the end of the 17th dynasty, Kamosli, the last king of the 17th dynasty, besieged Avaris, but could not dislodge the Hyksos, who were finally expelled some 18 years later by Admose, the founder of the 18th dynasty. And like I said, the naked archaeologist broke it down. He said that Admose was the pharaoh under the Exodus. Now you can watch that documentary and judge how you want to judge on that matter. Alright, but the land of Avaris was the capital of the Hyksos people, and that's the same land that the Israelites dwelt in. Now I'm going to read you this account out of Josephus about the Hyksos. This is from the Flavius Josephus against Apion, book 1, paragraph 14. I'm going to start in the middle. Says this. This whole nation, I'm gonna get the point before that. This is where Josephus is proving basically our history and how other historians wrote about us. He says this, I shall begin with the writings of the Egyptians, not indeed of those that have written in the Egyptian language, which is impossible for me to do, but Manetho was a man who by birth was an Egyptian, yet had made himself master of Greek learning, as is very evident, for he wrote the history of his own country in the Greek tongue by translating it, as he saith himself, out of their sacred books. Now this Manetho, in his second book of his Egyptian history, writes concerning us in the following manner. I will set down his very words as if I were to bring the very man himself into a court for a witness. All right. He went on to Manetho, the Egyptian historian who wrote in Greek, went on to say this. This whole nation was styled Hyksos, that is shepherd kings, for the first syllable hic, according to the sacred tablet, denotes a king, as is sos, a shepherd, but this according to the ordinary dialect, and of these is compounded Hyksos. But some say that these people were Arabians. Why? Because we came from the Arabian Peninsula under Abraham, man. Now in another copy it is said that this word does not denote kings, but on the contrary denotes captive shepherds. And we was both of them. We was shepherd kings and we was captive shepherds. We played both of them roles in Egypt. Joseph was a king, basically. But you had people that was in Egypt in slavery too. But you had our people that was up in the high class, just like we was up in Rome, sitting in the high seats, centurions, senators, just like in America. But then again, you got the people on the bottom of the barrel in Israel that's at the bottom suffering. It's like you got people in the projects in America of our people, and you got people that live in many mansions. All right. It goes on to say this. And this on account of the participle hic, for that hic with the aspiration in the Egyptian tongue again denotes shepherds, and that expressly, and shepherds was our occupation from our humble beginnings, like I read in the scriptures. We was the only people like that. All right, and the children of Abraham, all right, children of Eber are facts that expressly also, and this to me seems the more probable opinion and more agreeable to ancient history. But Manetho goes on. These people whom we have before named kings and called shepherds also and their descendants, and he as he says, kept possession of Egypt 511 years. After these, he says that the kings of the Bias and other parts of Egypt made an insurrection against the shepherds, and that their terrible and long war was made between them. He says further that under a king whose name was, Alis Pharagmuthosis, the shepherds were subdued by him and were indeed driven out of other parts of Egypt, but were shut up in a place that contained 10,000 acres. This place was named Avaris. All right, and we didn't get expelled. All right, we left. They didn't want us to leave because we was making their country so great. The same way these Edomites don't want us to leave America because we keep it going. Like they call us African, but if we were really African and we was causing so much havoc through crime and drugs and stuff, if niggas was so bad, why they won't send us back to Africa? They tell us to go back, send us back if we such a problem. All right, you acting just like Pharaoh. You don't like us, but you don't want to let us go. All right, now I'm gonna read more on Joseph, cause Joseph was running Egypt and changing laws and shit. All right, we had much rank in Egypt. We had much influence over Egypt. We were responsible for Egypt. All right, and all that greatness came from us. This is Genesis 47:28. I'm sorry, 47:20. And Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh's. So like I said before, Egypt was a group of city-states, but they wasn't all connected under one ruler. The Pharaoh, that just denoted that he was like the head of the royal family. He was the head of the richest family in Egypt, but he wasn't the downright king over all the land until Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for him. And as for the people, he removed them the cities from one end of the borders of Egypt even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests had a portion assigned them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion with Pharaoh, and gave them wherefore they sold not their lands. Now, does that sound familiar? That the Egyptians treated their priests just like later on in history we went on to treat our priests. All right, we divided a portion of the land special for our priests, the suburbs. Now, Moses was great in Egypt. Okay, the Most High set it up that way so that when the Most High told him to give the Levite special land, he would already be accustomed to how that process went, because he's seen it in Egypt. All right, because we dwelt among these Hamites, man. And we embraced and took on their culture. We wore their clothes. We worshiped some of their gods. All right, we became a nation down up in there. They had a heavy influence on our culture. But of course, like we do everything, we perfected it. Goes on to say this.